thank you. I'm good. Yeah, finally spring in the air here in Latvia. So mood is always better then as well. Since I think there were statistics of something like on average 2 months of sun only. So yeah, we are more of those who celebrate sun when it finally gets here after winter. So all good, thanks.
Welcome to the channel. It's a pleasure. I want to ask you about your beginnings, man. Your experience in Aqua. Aqua is most beautiful. How did you start in this slow cinema from the composition, man?
Yeah, thank you for the question. So full disclosure, we like I think that was my first work that yeah, well, not think, but it was my first work that was a collaboration. And that time, so it's with the director Gins Zilbalodis, who is currently known for his later feature films. And back then, yeah, he invited me. We actually knew each other. So he invited me, given we were both actually teenagers at that age. So it's very um, experimental project, if I could say it's call it that. And I remember that. Wow, that was what like 15 years ago, I think. So some time has passed. 15 years ago, and yeah, I didn't have any fancy equipment, anything. Just had my laptop with Logic Pro, I think, as well. And well, we were standing next to each other, looking at the film, and I was pretty much improvising. So that how it all began. And yeah, like obviously with improvisation, it required a lot of takes. Until we had the right motion to the that matched the matched the right beat and cue and everything. So also not much of experience for me at that point in like digital audio workstations and fancy production. So it was very raw, I would say.
Inspire you to create the music, man. There, there are good composers in Latvia. An example, Janis Ivanovs, Janis Medins, Raymond Pauls, man, Pitas. What you to create the music inspired?
Huh, interesting question. Mm. Well, my background is very mixed. If you ask me, as of today, I'm with one leg in business environment and the other is music, and it's always been like uh, swimming between the two. And I think when I started with writing music, I had probably I was studying music in parallel to like academic education, uh, and it was. Well, actually, it was a very much a coincidence of knowing the director Gintz, who invited me for the project. So that was my first overall, very raw, as I said. So I would say he was the pushing how to say it in English, the factor that pushed me into the ice cold water and made me try. And afterwards, it's been like a mixture of things. It's the opportunities that came up as a result of like I guess successful collaboration, both again with some later projects of his as well as other directors. Commercial projects I've been involved in. Um, so it's like the momentum, Once you capture a bit of it, then the ball starts rolling. That's from one perspective, as you can imagine. And then, well, you asked about what inspired me, right? And that's a very tricky area because inspiration, it's like this like mystical thing somewhere in the air. I'd assume very often associated with artists, right? Of various kinds of musicians, artists, you name it. And I don't think I have an inspiration like that. It's more like I know what I want to achieve, especially if we talk film music. There's the story, and the music has a certain function there, right? It's to enhance the story that that the film, or in this case, the director is intending to deliver, to convey. So in that sense, it's trying to my best ability to actually get some emotion out of it. So I don't know, like it's yeah, like inspiration is tricky for me. It's the emotion that comes from when I sit at the piano and like something clicks, right? So there is a motive that I discover, and then I try to evolve it a bit further. So it's it's a process. So um, definitely have to have the right environment for that. Yeah, nowadays it's a bit trickier with kids running around, and you know, sometimes that. So in that sense, you need to be in the right space, mind space, in the right time, in a sense.
Thanks for answering, man. It was very sincere and long answer. You had it saved it for a long time. You're amazing as well, man. You want a confession? I still wonder why Jeans didn't invite you in flow. Oh, I mean, if it's the same sketch of the cat in this aqua, in this short film, man, the composition made is magic, man. It's magic. To your opinion.
Mhm. It's definitely out of my area of expertise to you know the details as to why, but I would answer it from this perspective. I think for what is it? My last bigger project was actually a while ago now, I must say. So I've been a bit off the radar in a sense when it comes to the film industry. So you know, other projects actually, family, kids. That's a bit of a changed scenario. Now I'm again back into it, but there was a bit of a break. So I would say most probably it's because of that. And then, you know, it's not that you always work with the same person. It's you try to find the right person for each project based on, well, timing is one thing. So I was not available for sure. And others, yeah, maybe there's a different artistic vision on that as to what he needs, right? I know that I'm definitely more of the I like big and epic stuff. Also, very romantic guy here. So, like the intimate, small motives are there. But in the past, you know, when you start off with projects and you get like the freedom to do stuff, like I know that I often get carried away with something like, okay, there's this big picture that I'm painting with the sound, with music, right? And sometimes that's too much. So I think writing for animation as a result is quite challenging because there's less, like if I can say so, there's less happening that the eye and mind kind of perceive at the same time, as opposed to, you know, the grand, well, feature films that technically have also like the person. So it's different. You cannot, like, music is not always it shouldn't be that big, I think. And this is where I think it's a bit of a bigger challenge for composers to write for animation, if you ask me, because you need to keep yourself a bit in the you need to keep yourself back a bit, not to overdo it.
In your short films of followers was different, man. This time they are humans. Do you think that animation is more special to create animals than humans?
Oh no, definitely not. I think like with animation, it's to some extent it gives you more freedom, especially from the director's point of view, because it's like, you know, you start with a blank canvas. You're creating the whole world, every tiny detail in it, like the characters, of course, as well, but like everything is something made up by the artist's vision, directors or animators or the teams essentially. So as a result, it gives freedom to music as well. I like no, I interesting question. I haven't thought about it, to be honest. I don't think that it makes the challenge there. What I think is different, though, if we are philosophizing here about this topic, what I think is different is that when there are humans versus animals or any type of character, at least for the viewer, let's assume we are the viewers. With humans, we have different empathy, right? We kind of can put ourselves into their shoes a bit better. So there's different spectrum of emotions, and as a result, maybe the music is different. Whereas with animals, we will never know for sure what animals think or feel. So from that perspective, it's more of a speculation, right? We are trying to understand the animals from our human perspective, but we'll never be able to do it entirely. So the music is also, as a result, of speculation there. So maybe it's more challenging as a result, if that makes sense.
Unable is to pursue your dreams. How you manage to achieve your dreams in field or while on goal is still
Inaudible project was actually very interesting. It felt more personal to me because I'm actually a trumpet player myself. So maybe it was inspiring the director at that time to somehow portray the story. So I could imagine myself in the shoes of the person, of the main character, being a trumpet player, having the struggles of life in this case. Luckily, don't have any hearing problems as the character there, but being a musician, like we were always taught in school about Beethoven going deaf, for example. So it was always like a bit of a horror story. And imagine you being, I don't know, well, yeah, in this case, a musician, you go deaf. So pretty much the whole thing of your whole world is completely gone, right? Because you perceive the world through sound, through the same music, right? So that maybe is the only bigger challenge, but as a result, yeah, it was more scary. There were definitely more emotions involved, and I think, like, if you ask me, I aside from maybe the finale where like now looking back, it's a bit too sweet from music perspective, yeah, but there are definitely very nice motives there that to me still give that feeling of complete loss that the character also experienced. I hope I answered your question, right? Like
good answer.
it definitely helps to be part of that world, right?
Good answer.
And I think yeah, happy to hear. Like maybe one addition there, I think it definitely helps if you're involved in any project, like say, yeah, like this, you need to understand the story and definitely what the director's trying to kind of tell with that story, and being somehow either in the past or putting yourself in that experience literally in life. So you could, as closely as possible, live or experience that feeling and experience really of the character or the scene or the story itself. It definitely helps. Well, I wouldn't say it's a must because but yeah, imagine space movies. Yeah, you can do that, but the human thing of experiencing the similarities of what's being told, I think you cannot really tell an impactful story without being able to have that empathy from having a similar experience.
Question is its composition can this music, history, story be considered a miracle of cinema? Your composition.
My composition.
Yes.
You're asking if my composition can be considered a miracle? Huh. Well, that would be very egoistic of me to say so, I think. This like well, there's a difference between a composer and and a composer who's working for film, right? Because if you're writing concert music, there's definitely more. Well, you are telling the story with the music, whereas writing for film, it's complementary. It's part of the bigger picture. It's part of the story that the whole film with the whole crew, regardless if it's animation or any other format, right? Uh, well, you're part of that, so you cannot really take over and say, "Hey, this is my big project now," right? For some genre, yeah, there's definitely more. You can do more, but I, yeah, I'd say animation. It is, as I mentioned, it's more intimate, so definitely less of that magnum. I don't know, epic audio storytelling can take place. So I would say it's nice and beautiful what I've written, but it's like very early work, right? It's super early, super raw. Looking forward to beat myself with every next project. Because well, I hate to say that, yeah, as well, because there's no competition. So I'm just being there, helping tell the story, and doing my best in terms of yeah, supporting that story. So
Okay. There is your latest short film, Oasis. Oasis, which talks about losing your fears. My question to you is, what is your oasis? Do you hate one? What is it?
that's a good one. I think I still struggle with fear as a block. Well, and I can talk about myself, just my personal experience, but I think many people do. Fear is a big thing that stops us from probably living our lives to its full potential, from exercising our full potential as human beings. So I definitely have fear, but what is my oasis? Yeah, oasis to overcome that fear, because that's an internal process, right? I don't think it's something like, if it was so simple that I could go somewhere and poof, it's gone, and now I'm free, and whatever the block was, I don't know, suddenly I can create, or suddenly I feel motivated to do stuff, pursue my next step or goal. That would be amazing. Yeah? If you find a place like that, tell me. But no, for me, I definitely need to be in nature. That's again, I think very human thing. The more we should go out and be in nature more. It's just like connect us to our source. If I could use this format of expressing myself, so being by the sea, walking by the sea, or in the forest, it somewhat is that process. And for me, running is a process, a bit of a meditation. So I go to clear my head. So somewhat it is this, escape route to the metaphorical oasis that you asked about, I think. Yeah, I would say it's a big improvisation, right? Because you start with one idea, but you never finish with it, or you rarely finish with it. So it's an improvisation that it's a journey that leads you from where you start to where you finish. So to some extent, writing any piece, and that's even outside film, I think it's part of exploring yourself, right? As well, especially if it's connected to a story that that a director is trying to tell, then you're forced to be part of that story. You're forced to live it. It's somewhat similar to actor's job, as challenging as I can imagine that is to even live, that very character. It's as close as death, I think. Sometimes, well, we are not the face, right? But the music is, without the music, it's oftentimes, well, could be that it lacks the emotion. I'll say that, yeah. So, yeah, as a result, it's a journey. Well, maybe experiment is the technical form of saying that, right? So music is a big journey / experiment of telling that story that lives, well, around or within.
It's amazing as well, man. Please invite the people of Colombia to follow your work, man.
Yeah, sure. So I'm a bit of a person who is currently on digital detox. Socials are a bit too much for me these days. But yeah, if you want to, feel free to follow me on Instagram. I can drop the handle, and well, feel free to yeah, share it. And yeah, I have a SoundCloud account. That's where currently most of the works that you also asked about, where the music can be found. So I'll share those with you, or you should be able to look them up, and yeah, follow there, listen there, and if you like it, I'm happy. Thank you, paldies. Thank you, is paldies.
Thank you so much. God bless you. Take care, man. Be you.
Thank you, Jhon. Thank you. Stay in touch.